I won't get you to put your name on that, right? I, Evie Springs, do solemnly swear or
as a member of the Board of Adjustment this 4th day of September.
I will.
Thank you.
I won't forget to sign. The other housekeeping matter is, Florida Rock Code says that we are to elect our officers yearly. We only have 2 officers, a chairperson and a vice chairperson. So we need to elect those 2 positions. I make a motion that we accept nominations for the chairperson of the Blowing Rock Board of Adjustment at this time. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Walker. All in favor of accepting nominations for the chairperson of this board, say aye. 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 It's unanimous. We will accept nominations at this time.
I nominate E.B. Springs.
I second that. As chair.
Any other nominations? All right, I move that we close the nomination process. Any second on that?
I second.
I'm trying to keep with the Robert's Rules of Order.
In brief.
I've never been good with it. All right, we have a second. All in favor of closing the nomination process, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And it appears that I am chairperson again. Thank you very much for your confidence.
Appreciate your
Appreciate your
accepting
service.
the position.
Well, thanks. I make a motion that we accept nominations for the vice chairperson at this time. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Walker and Ms. Murphy at the same time. So we will accept nominations for the vice chairperson at this time, and I want to nominate Mr. Schiller here. Any other nominations?
I move we close the nominations.
All right, I'll second that. The nominations are closed, and it looks as though Mr. Schiller is once again our vice chairperson. Congratulations. We have some minutes to approve or not. And have all members received the minutes of our last meeting, which was January 23rd this year?
Yep.
Okay, it appears everyone has. Does anyone have any corrections to those minutes?
I have none.
Everyone seems to be satisfied with their
Well, I've got one at the top of the 3rd page. Very first paragraph, I misspelled my name.
On the top of the 3rd page, Mr. Walker didn't get his whole first name,
Missing an
Brandon.
I. Is that it?
And
Yeah, I.
it's Brandon.
Oh, Brandon.
Brandon. Walker's correct, Brandon left the D-O-N off there, is that correct?
Yes, I didn't have any other.
All right.
change.
Any other corrections to be made to those minutes? All right, then I'll move that we, with that correction made, accept the minutes of the January 23rd, 2025 meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor of accepting those minutes with the one correction, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, it's unanimous, so those minutes are accepted. We have a variance application. It's number 2025-01. The applicant is Penn Brannon and Erwin Morrison. Is Penn Brannon here?
I'm Erwin Morrison. My sister is out of town.
Okay, all right. Is Erwin you're here on behalf of Erwin Morrison.
I am Erwin Morrison.
You are Erwin Morrison, I'm sorry.
Yes, sir.
And Penn
So
Brannon,
is everybody else.
okay, and Penn Brannon could
It's
not
my
be.
sister. She could not be here. She's in New Jersey.
Okay, all right, and it appears you've retained Ms. Garrett to help you with this.
Yes, sir.
All right. And Ms. Garrett, I'm gonna, when we come to questions and so forth, I'm gonna direct those at you and not the applicant. Is that correct? That's the way you want to do it? Very good. Our minutes are kept by Ms. Taylor Miller. She's a town employee. She actually works for the zoning office. Does the applicant have any objection to Ms. Miller keeping our minutes?
No.
Mr. Johnson, do you object to Ms. Miller keeping the minutes?
I do not.
Okay, good. The North Carolina Court of Appeals has said they want us to state the procedures we're going to use. I'll do that at this time. This hearing is a quasi-judicial hearing. It is conducted according to the rules and laws pertaining to quasi-judicial hearings. It will have all of the essential elements of a fair trial. Parties will have the opportunity to give evidence, cross-examine witnesses, inspect documents, and testimony shall be under oath. The board's findings will be based upon substantial, material, and competent evidence. In a hearing such as this, the board members cannot have a conflict of interest or show any bias. In a minute, I'm going to ask the members of this panel, this board, including myself, if they have had any ex parte communications about this case prior to this hearing. In other words, outside of this hearing, did you discuss this case with anyone in any way? Well, let me go ahead and ask everyone that now. Anyone have any ex parte communications to reveal? No? No. It's unanimous, no ex parte communications. A member must not have a fixed opinion prior to this hearing as to whether this particular ordinance variance should or should not be granted. And the member should not be biased. Is anyone biased against this applicant, or does anyone already have a fixed opinion about this hearing?
No.
No one does. It's unanimous. A member must not have a fixed opinion as to whether all variances in general should or should not be granted. Does anyone feel that way, that no variances should ever be granted? No? It's unanimous. A member must not participate in the case if the member has any close family, business, or other close relationships with the person involved in this case. Does anyone have such a relationship? No. It's unanimous, no. And a member must not have any financial interest in the outcome of the case. Does anyone have a financial interest in this case? No for me. It's unanimous, no. We are allowed to drive by or walk by the property in question just to look at it. And that's fine, just so you don't stop and chat with people about it. We're allowed to go by the property and look at it. Has any member gone by the property and looked at the property?
I did not.
Mr. Starnes has, Mr. Schiller has not, I have not. Mr. Walker,
I've driven by, there's not much you can see.
you've gone by it.
Yeah, same thing. You drive by, but I wasn't going to drive up
And
the
Ms.
driveway.
Murphy's gone by it, but no ex parte conversations, no chatting with any neighbors. Very good. Is there anyone other than Ken Brannon and Erwin Morrison and the town, represented by Mr. Brian Johnson, that feels like they're has standing to come into this case, a party, so to speak? I'll ask the public at large. Anyone think they're a party to this case? I hear nothing. So those are the parties. At this time, we'll swear all the witnesses or potential witnesses. And Ms. Garrett, you, just in case you may at some point want to speak to facts, you want to go ahead and get sworn in as well?
That would be fine.
All right, so anyone that's going to testify, please see Ms. Miller over here and get sworn in.
And I will state just for the record, Mr. Chair, that we do have one witness that is available by phone if desired. He wrote a letter on behalf of in support of the application. So he would need his form if and when we call him.
We'll do that. Very good.
You want to go with it? Yeah, come on here, just in case they ask you a question. Sure.
Do you solemnly swear that the evidence you shall give to this body in this matter being heard shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
The zoning enforcement officer has prepared a staff report, which is his typed up rendition of what he thinks this case is about. And he attaches to it any photos, plats, diagrams, et cetera, that he wants to include in the case, and anything that the applicants have. And that is distributed prior to this hearing to all the board members. Did all the board members get the staff report? I did as well. And to the applicant. Did you get your copy of the
Yes.
staff report?
Yes, sir.
Does the applicant have any objections to anything that is in it?
No, sir.
Okay. And our normal operating procedure is to have the zoning enforcement officer present the overview of the case and go through the staff report with us. So at this time, we'll have Mr. Johnson prepare to testify.
Thank you, Chairman.
You just go through it from beginning to end.
Here to present variance case number 2025-01. Applicant Penn Brandon and Erwin Morrison, and Chelsea Garrett is representing tonight. I have an aerial on the screen of the location, which is 1884 Main Street. One drive into this property, there's actually two residents there. Zoning of the property is R15 single family. Chelsea Garrett, on behalf of Penn Brandon and Erwin Morrison, is requesting a setback variance from Land Use Ordinance Section 16-12.4. Variance from the 12-foot side setback along the western property line for the intent of the construction of an addition. Again, the property is located at 1884 Main Street. Main Street is here. This is the drive.
Well, I'm sorry, I didn't see it.
This is Main Street.
Right,
The drive is accessed here.
thank you.
Subject property there. Property is further identified by Watauga County PN 2807-94-7118-000. Property contains approximately 0.397 acres. And again, the property is zoned single family R15. The proposed addition will be 7 feet by 15 feet. In your packet, you have a survey, then you have a blown up sheet of the survey as well on the site plan. The proposed addition is approximately 7 by 15. The current building structure itself, which is this corner here, is approximately, currently exists at 4.1 feet from the property line. So with the existing house, the property is considered non-conforming in nature as it currently encroaches into the 12-foot side setback. You can see the dash line, here's the actual setback You can see how much of it's not conforming here, and the request is here. The request is for a 10.7-foot encroachment into the setback. And this would include the eave as well. So the request is for 10.7 feet. Also in your packet, there's an architectural site plan. It gives you an outline of what we're proposing here. This is current, and this is what we're proposing. I can let the applicant or Chelsea explain what the purpose is of the addition. But that's the request. If you got any questions, or there may be a couple pictures in your packet that will, sorry, some of them are backwards.
Go through the full packet, just
Kind of gives
Just
you-
tell us what each piece of paper is, if you don't mind. And if there are things you're not
You go
familiar
through them
with.
on the screen or just in the packet?
If you've got it loaded up, let's do it on the screen as well. You know what I'm saying? Just go through each page and just tell us what it is, and if you're not sure, we'll get the applicant to do that later.
It's included in the submission, Mr. Johnson. I think I had a list of exhibits if you want to.
So, I got it here.
Okay.
So what we're looking at is the front of the house as you approach from the driveway. The current structure that will be added on to is to the right here. So the addition will be here. This is a view looking down the side, and I believe this is the existing property line in this area here.
That's on it's on the road entrance side, so the far back side of the picture is where the property line is. This is just where it's gonna go out to.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The white line is the addition. The white line is the
So
addition.
this is the front of the house.
Yeah.
And what does the white line show?
So this is the 5 foot to request in here. Excuse me, 7 foot. And then this will be the 15 foot one here, so the addition will be here. Sorry, I'm having a hard time getting my bearings there. This photo shows a view looking from the back of the house towards the front. And I believe this is the property line. Is that the one?
No,
This is the corner of
That's
the
the
addition.
proposed corner. And I'll read the other proposed corner of the addition. Questions on that one? So the property line will be in this area here.
No.
Sorry. It's
Oh,
okay,
sorry.
you just
Property
reversed
line's
it.
here.
Yep, there you go. You got it. You got it.
The property line is over here.
Okay.
There it is.
Yes, orient us on that.
So, this is the front of the house as well. This will be the 7 foot, so the addition will be going that way. This is the property line along the side of the house. So the existing 4.1 feet that we referenced is from this corner here to the property line that's existing.
Okay.
And I I think this photo is just referencing the buffer that's in between currently, is that correct? And this photo is a little hard to see, but I think this is an actual building elevation of the addition. I'm trying to see.
That's the current eve condition.
We attach this to prove that eve is 16 inches. The existing eve is 16 inches.
So that's the current front of the existing house.
Right.
Come on back to the letter. And this is a letter, and Ms. Garrett, you're gonna have someone testify to the letter.
Yes, Mr. Dillon is on call.
Very good, thank you. Anything else you want to add, Mr. Johnson?
I do not.
All right. And Ms. Garrett, do you have any questions of Mr. Johnson?
I do not.
All right. Does any board member have any questions of Mr. Johnson? Anyone?
No.
I've got a few. How many houses share the driveway?
Two.
2 houses, okay. And they're requesting, you say they're requesting a 10.7 foot variance from the 12. So it's going to be 1.3 feet from the property line?
Correct.
And the gutter and the downspout, the gutter and the overhang is counted in your,
The eave is included, but gutters do not count towards that.
All right, so if I write the desired addition would be 1.3 feet from the property line at the closest point, would that be correct?
Yes.
As the house currently is, correct? It's not?
The
That's gonna be
proposed-
after the
proposed
addition.
No, but the house is already non-compliant to that, correct? So you're just going out 7 feet?
Correct, exactly.
Right.
Okay.
But if we go back to the site plan, where these numbers differ a little bit. They had the survey clarify, you can kind of see how the addition will jog a little closer to the property line here. From this point, that's 4.1, and then you see where it gets a little closer to the property line as they go out here. That's why.
But at the-
it's in that.
I
At the
can
very-
explain it when I get up there.
I'm sorry, what?
I can explain it when I get up there.
Okay.
Easiest thing.
All right. And get your diagram or your plat that shows the whole thing. Okay, this is, I'm gonna call it a rectangle, although it's a little skewed. Up at the narrow end there at the top, what's the width of the lot there?
This
49 something?
49.89.
49.89? And down at the other end, the wider end, what's the measurement there?
73.43.
And the picture that shows the large clump of rhododendron, the screen with the buffer. Mr. Johnson, what's your understanding as to whose property that is on? Is it on the next door neighbors or is it on this property?
I'd have to let Chelsea, probably both.
Okay. At this point, Mr. Johnson would like to put the staff report into the record. Do you or the applicant have any objection to the entire staff report coming into the record of this case? Any objections from anybody?
No, sir.
All right, so it's now in the record, the staff report is. Let's talk the public and other interested parties. Mr. Johnson, did you give out the required statutory notices?
Yes, we did. We notified 13 property owners.
And those are people that are within, what's the distance you go out?
150 feet.
You don't tell us what anybody said, but were you contacted by any of the 13?
No, sir.
Were you contacted by any member of the public that's outside the 13 people regarding this case? Don't tell us what anybody said, but anybody from the public contacted?
We had 2 phone calls
Okay.
outside of the notifications.
And did you put up the required sign?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any more questions from the board? All right, thank you, Mr. Johnson. We'll hear from the applicant.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Chair. My name is Chelsea Garrett. I'm an attorney at Steele Mosley Law Firm, and I represent the applicant. With us is also, Mr. Dillon is on the phone, and Susan Dudley, I was going to say Dillon, which is our own, Susan Dudley, who was assisted with the design for the property owner. I don't have anything to change about what was just testified to. I just want to elaborate on a few things and maybe provide a little bit of clarity. Some of the confusion lies in the fact that the survey that is provided by Survey Pros, and it's part of the packet, it is applicant's number 2. What do you got? You can use that one. Is that the one they added?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
It's not colored.
Okay, so, the 2 points of interest to the board, I believe, tonight are the building corner. This is the existing building corner, 4.1 feet from the property line. That is the corner not including the eaves. So that's the corner of the foundation of the house. And then the arrow just
Okay,
above.
I'm sorry, I got befuddled there. Run that by me one more time. The
Okay.
1.3 feet is,
So the 4.1 feet, building corner is 4.1 feet from the property line, and I just wanted to explain that may have been a source of confusion from the earlier conversation, is that is the line or the point at the foundation of the house, not including the eave.
Okay.
So that's why those amounts differ from what Mr. Johnson testified to regarding what our request is. So 4.9, the existing corner, not including the eave. So if you add 16 inches to that, then, well, actually reduce it by 16 inches, get to your existing distance from the line.
so if I write the foundation of the addition will be,
Well, the foundation of the addition will be 2.9 feet from the property line. That is already on the survey, Mr. Springs. So the foundation will be 2.9 feet. Both of those numbers do not account for the eaves. So that's what I just wanted to explain.
so the distance from the eve is the 1.3?
Yes, correct. And so that's why those numbers are accurate for the foundation. Add the eaves distance, which is 16 inches, and you'll get the
existing plus the proposed.
Okay.
And the reason it's closer is because the property line, as you can see, jogs inward. If it were straight, it would not be an extension at all of the encroachment, except that we're not going further into the setback because we're following the existing line of the house. We're not going further west. I think it's west. But of course, the line does jog in a little bit, and that's why it's an expansion. Also wanted to mention that, and before we call Mr. Dillon, and just to get the elements out of order a little bit, one of the elements, which I believe is D of the variance considerations the board will make, is that the requested variance is not inconsistent with the spirit, purpose, and intent of the ordinance, and that granting a variance will not be injurious to the neighborhood or surrounding property owners. We'll get Mr. Dillon on the phone, and actually, I'm sorry, I meant to mention before we call Mr. Dillon, B and C. B is that the conditions that are precipitating this hardship or this request are that the property has peculiar attributes, either location, size, topography, for example, that the hardship is not resulting from personal circumstances or circumstances that are common in the neighborhood, and also that the hardship is not the result of any actions that have been taken by Erwin, Morrison, or Penn Brannon. And I wanted to bring your attention to two things that were not in the packet. My office pulled two plats. One of them is this one from 1947 that I can pass around. And I would ask that it be admitted. It is a matter of public record from the courthouse, Montauban County Courthouse. But it is from 1947, and it is a survey showing that the property lines have not changed since this survey. There was not a re-subdivision or anything that the owners did that all of a sudden made their house closer to the line. I also just wanted to point out that this house existed, it was the Canaan residence. This house existed prior to the adoption of any ordinance, so prior to the implementation of any setbacks.
Do you know when the house was built?
Around the turn of the century. It was a tea house for the Stringfellows who owned Chicago.
So it was built around 1900?
Yes.
And Ms. Morrison does know some interesting history, so if there's a desire to hear it, she can obviously get up and tell it if you'd like. But I will pass that around. I guess just for clarity of the record, Mr. Chair, we can mark this as applicant's exhibit 7, maybe? I think it's 7. Yeah, the photos are number 6 with letters, so let's do applicant 7.
Do you object to that, Mr. Johnson?
No,
No, that'll be fine.
And I'll also pass around a plat from 2003. That was a plat for the Barhams, which were the former owner of the Dillon property, which is the neighbor. And this reflects the exact same line, exact same configuration you saw on the GIS aerial tax map, just to show. And it also shows just a little outline of the house in the same location. So I do have copies of that, and I'll ask that be admitted as applicant's exhibit 8.
Do you object to her request of number 8, Mr. Johnson? Okay.
no, sir.
Ms. Garrett, how does the deed read? Who are the owners of the property?
The owner of the property of record, actually, I think there was a deed, is there a deed or just? It was Dee Dee Thompson, who was a widow at the time of her passing. And she passed in January?
My mother.
Yes. That is Erwin and Penn's mother. And so Erwin and Penn inherited the property. And I'm not positive, Mr. Chair, if there was a deed from the estate or not, but they are the title holders of their legal title holders.
Should be the deed for Roaring Rock 1 and Roaring Rock 2. That's
Okay.
how it's listed.
Okay, yeah.
All right, so the only deed existing today is still in Dee Dee Thompson's name. Is that what you're telling me?
No, it should be, she actually deeded it to us about 10 years ago, I don't remember how long it's
Okay.
been. And we broke it out into, since it's my sister and myself that she deeded it to, it's listed just as Blowing Rock 1 and Blowing Rock 2, just, 2 and my sister is 1.
Okay, and those two things are what, incorporated or,
LLC.
okay. So the owner of the property in question is, something one, what it,
Blowing Rock 1.
Blowing Rock
And Blowing
1?
Rock 2. Which were just names from my sister and myself.
Sure.
And I apologize, Mr. Springs, I did not think to pull the deed, I just went by what we prepared with our application, that it was,
This probably isn't necessary, but I just
Right,
thought
we
it
can-
was nice to add.
yeah, I agree.
Let's see. The nice big clump of rhododendron that you call it, I think you call it a screen, whose property is that on?
It's a combination, so, the photo that you saw, which is the last photo that Mr. Johnson showed, is a photo from Mr. Dillon's side. And, those, the rhododendrons you see immediately are on his side, but it's thicker than what it appears and there may be actually, sorry, Brian, if you wanna scroll back up to some of the other photos, right there. So, you can see there's some on this side, and
It gets thicker as it.
the rhododendrons get thicker as you go to the front of the property. And so there's a few more where you can see the root and the stump or the root of the rhododendron are in fact on their property. So it's a combination.
Primarily though, it's on Dillon's side.
Yes, I think that big thick one that's gonna provide the most screening is on their side.
Sort of 50/50
Is it?
right there, really, that giant clump, because it,
Well, I think, so the growth, the trunk of it is located primarily that big one is primarily on the neighbor, but the branches come over to this side. So from a trunk standpoint, you're right, I think it's probably mostly on their side, but the branches, they're pretty giant, so. So by our calculations, to phrase the existing encroachment, which is a non-conforming existing feature, is 9.25 feet into the setback. So the existing house is 9.25 feet into the setback, including the eaves. And the new, because the property the line jogs in,
Give it to me again, 9.5.
9.25, so 9.25 feet, including the eaves. And with the addition, even though we're keeping the exact same line as the house, same eaves, because the property line's slightly closer, the addition will be 10.6 feet into the setback. And so it's really just an increase by 1 feet 3 inches, 1 feet 4 inches. We did add a couple inches in calculations just to add some cushion in case not because the foundation itself is going to change, but just so, measurements in the field to make sure we're not off. And that was actually the staff's suggestion, is just make sure. So I think 10.7, which is what the statement is in the 10.7 foot setback variance, is the actual request that's in the staff report. I believe adds a couple inches cushion just in case. But it's only just over a foot of an increase from the existing house, to put it into perspective.
I want to ask about the neighborhood. Are you somewhat familiar with the neighborhood, or should I wait for Ms. Morrison?
I would ask Ms. Morrison if you don't mind. And if we could, just to not keep Mr. Dillon waiting, what I'll do is try to call him really quickly and get him to affirm on the record.
Let's do it.
And then we can call Ms. Ms. Morrison.
Let's do it.
Great, thank you.
Hello, Stan.
Hey, Dan, this is Chelsea Garrett. You are live with the Board of Adjustment. And thanks for taking our call. they have a copy of your letter in the, staff report and in the application. And
Okay.
I would just ask you, well, actually, technically, we have to get you sworn first.
Okay.
Since it's a quasi judicial hearing, and so the clerk can swear you in really quickly if you don't mind.
Sure.
Okay. Go ahead and state your full name for the record.
Daniel Reed Dillon.
And Mr. Dillon, are you the owner of the property immediately to the west of the property owned by Penn Brannon and Irwin Morrison, their entities?
Yes, I am.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Dillon, you solemnly swear that the evidence you shall give to this body in this matter being heard shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Thank you. Mr. Springs, do you want to ask him questions, or you want me to just have him testify to what he stated in this letter?
Just if you would have him testify to the letter.
No problem. So, Mr. Dillon, prior to the, to Irwin and Penn, requesting this variance, did they talk to you about their plans for their house?
Yes, I have.
And have they, physically met with you on the property and at the property line to show you what they're proposing?
Yes, I have.
And, it is, based on their application, a 7 by 15 foot addition to the front of their house. Does that sound right?
I'm not sure. I do not hear you guys anymore.
Oh, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Oh, maybe I need to log into the internet here. Maybe not.
Take your time. No pressure.
Town hall, town park Wi-Fi doesn't require code, so you use that one? Or town hall does?
Do town hall.
Just doing the internet.
Hello?
Hey Dan, I'm sorry, I've connected to the internet at town hall now, so we should be good.
Okay.
Okay, so my question was, are you generally aware that the addition that's proposed is gonna be approximately 7 by 15 feet at the front of the house?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Do you have any concerns or objections to the variance request, by Penn and Irwin?
I do not.
And is it your understanding that the rhododendron, that provides the buffer between your house and theirs, or your property and theirs, is going to stay, intact?
Yeah, to the best that I can.
Okay. I don't think I have any further questions. The board may, if you don't mind, just giving us a few more minutes.
Yeah, no, whatever you guys need.
Thank you.
Do you have any questions, Mr. Jones? Does any board member have any questions of it? I've got a couple. Mr. Dillon, can you hear me?
I can. It's a little quiet, but I can hear you.
Okay, this is one of the board members. Your full name is Daniel Reed Dillon?
Yeah, Reed is spelled R-E-E-D.
Okay, and your address, what's your address there on Main Street?
1882 Main Street.
How long have you lived there, sir?
Technically, we haven't fully moved in yet. We bought the home on February 5th of this year.
Have you become fairly acquainted with the immediate neighborhood, the other houses in your neighborhood?
Was the question whether I met the other neighbors?
Have you become acquainted with the houses close by, in the immediate area around your house?
Only or Main Street have I met that's the only neighbor that I've met so far.
Okay, the only neighbor, which side, Miss Morrison?
That would be Penn at 1884.
Okay, all right. Have you been over to their house, to the house there?
Yes, I have.
I'm looking at a plat, a drawing of the house on its lot, and it looks like an extremely narrow, long and narrow house. Would you characterize this house as narrow in its width?
The floor plan of the house itself or its property?
The whole house, the footprint of the house. It's awfully narrow. It's a sort of a rectangle, but the ends, the width is very narrow. Is that a correct statement?
I mean, personally, I didn't notice it being unusually narrow. It obviously has a odd footprint because it's had many additions. But to me personally, it didn't feel overwhelmingly narrow.
Okay, all right. Any other questions, Mr. Dillon? Mr. Dillon, thank you so much. I believe that's going to wind up your testimony.
All right, thank you for considering this.
Thanks, Dan, appreciate it.
All right, bye.
Good night.
And you have one other person you want to do on the phone as well?
No, that was the only phone witness. And I believe, as I mentioned earlier, that Mr. Dillon's testimony speaks to element D, which is that at least as to the owner that's closest to the property and shares the boundary line where the setback is located, they certainly don't have a problem with this and don't view it as injuring their property, so.
Right. I want to talk about this lot and the house and the neighboring lots. Are you comfortable speaking to that, or should I?
I believe so,
talk with
and
Ms.
if,
Morris?
to the extent necessary, we can call Ms. Morrison up.
Okay, all right. Mr. Johnson, do you have any questions of Ms. Garrett at this point? I do not. Any other, I have some questions over, any other board members want to ask any?
I think the common area that these two houses are using for a driveway,
Right.
I assume you have legal use of that. And I'm curious who owns that? The driveway system in the front.
It's a 50-50 split right down the middle of the driveway, is my understanding. And the driveway is shared by both properties, is what the deed says.
I think there's, in the big old survey, I can't recall in front of me that there's some drawing on that, but maybe not. But that's my understanding as well.
Well, as I said to Mr. Dillon, this lot seems awfully narrow. Does it strike you as being narrow?
It is, and it's and that's part of why we brought the old maps. Is it's always been narrow, and I think the reason for that is that Ms. Morrison can speak to this. That used to be a tea house. This house was a tea house, and there have been, as Mr. Dillon mentioned, multiple additions on it. But if you see, there's multiple sheds. There's things around. So for whatever reason, when this property was built and either originally subdivided, it probably was an old, I mean, it could have been slave quarters at one time or something like that, a tea house. It was an accessory, in other words, this was an accessory structure, and then it was turned into a personal residence. And so that's probably why it's very small, and it has been since forever. So there's been no, failure by anybody to pay attention when they were subdividing or when they were building. It's been there predating all of the ordinances that would affect any of this. But it is very narrow. And I believe that that's spoken to in the existing ordinances too. One of the potential justifications for why
this variance is justified and also why it's not a situation or a circumstance that the neighbors share. The neighboring properties are significantly larger.
I thought you can't see this house from Main Street. I thought everything back there was huge mansions. I had no idea there was something this small. Going up and down Main Street in both directions, is it just a series of tiny little narrow lots, or is it, or not?
I don't believe so. And this would be coming from my personal memory, but having done other real estate related closings and other issues along the Gorge Main Street lots that I think a lot of people refer to as the old farmhouse property. I don't know that all of it is. I don't know if this is part of that. I think that is actually to the east.
This was at one time part of that big Whedon lot that's right next door to us, or the Whedons on the other side.
On the other side, yeah.
And they actually owned 1882, 1884, where we are, and then their large swath of property, which has multiple houses on it, all one family. It's originally that main house of theirs was built, Pete Page is in one house, and then the main old house was built right before the turn of the century. And so my understanding is that family sold off these two different lots way back, the turn of the century to the Stringfellows for our particular strip. As you stated, it was originally a tea house for the Stringfellows.
Does this show all the lots?
The lots on either side of us are much larger.
So, yeah, right there, and that little, so yeah, everything. There is one right here, on the other side of the neighbors, on the other side of Dillon, there's one that appears to be similar, but
It's
it's,
farther down, that's off of Buxton, and then.
yeah, oh, that is below you guys, sorry,
Yeah, so
that's
it's-
down towards the gorge.
So it's the Cones, and then the Dillons, and then us as a small strip, and then the Whedon property, which is that large one on the other side of us, that has multiple houses for that big family. And they have a shared driveway also.
Is it fair to say you're the smallest lot?
Yes, sir.
This just strikes me as incredibly narrow, and to satisfy the first factor, Ms. Garrett, you've got to show that there's something, no offense, so sorry about this lot that it makes the setbacks a real hardship for you to do anything on it. But you have to be in much worse shape than most of the other houses. So if you've got a tiny little narrow lot and everybody else has a nice big lot where they can comfortably build and comply with the setbacks, you've pretty much got that first factor made. Talk to me about that.
Right, no, that's exactly the case here. I think, again, because this is not only because it's so small, but because this house was built and predated any kind of regulation, there really has never been an opportunity for it to comply. I mean, it's never gonna comply, and also, they're adding on to it, which of course is a voluntary act that they are choosing to do, but there is no other real space, because even though there's a tree, there's a little more room on the right. If you look on the survey, they're going to be in the setback wherever they go, and the back of the house, granted, this is a tax map, so you can't rely on this exactly but the back of the house, they couldn't go off the back, and I would also tell you topographically, that's probably inhibited, but it's a drop off, but the back of the house, it's where it drops off to the view, and then you see the east side of the house, close to the Whedon property, you would be in the setback there, unless you come off, really, almost probably gonna be in the setback there, so they're very limited in where they can expand. And I think I would suggest it also matters that they're not expanding towards the setback. They're just expanding the existing line of the house. So it's really only an expansion in one sense because the boundary line changes, not because they're actually going further that way with new construction. But yes, we would agree, Chairman, that the lot
extremely small, and they don't really have any options.
Anybody else have any questions? I have one last question, and that is, what is a tea house?
So it was yeah, why don't you come up here and speak into the microphone, and that way they can hear you better.
Is that okay?
Sure.
Thank you for having us. So interesting history about this house, which we love. The Stringfellows built Chatola back in the end of the 1800s. They couldn't see the view, so the Whedons owned pretty much that whole area between, as I mentioned, the couple lots to our left, and then their whole huge lot, which consisted of that ridge looking out on the gorge. And I guess Mr. Stringfellow talked Mr. Whedon into selling that lot to him so they could build a little tea house. Their ritual was that at that time, horse and buggy, they'd get in horse and buggy, come up in the afternoon and have their tea on the deck of this house and watch the sunset. And that was the Stringfellows ritual when they built that initial building there. And then later they sold it to Nan Cannon back in the 20s. And the other interesting little twist to that was Mrs. Stringfellow died, and then Mr. Stringfellow married Nan Cannon. So it was interesting little history there. But it's very near and dear to our heart because of the great history of it and how much we appreciate that. One other quick note I would say is that just the small addition is going to remain a one-story as it is now. The roof line will not be any higher than it is currently. I think that's probably important to know that as well. Anything else you have access to? It's going to come from your property. Yeah, any access would be straight through our property for any of the contracting work there for that work to happen. The Dillons wouldn't be affected by that at all. And there is that big, just to sort of clarify, the rhododendron is so dense and thick all the way from that existing part of the house all the way back to the driveway, and it's really very thick right there. And I also mentioned to Mr. Dillon that, if at any point in time he wanted us to add additional buffer there, more rhododendron or anything else, just to beautify it, we'd be happy to do that. We seem to be very satisfied with that buffer as it is right now. Literally, you wouldn't even be able to see it from his house.
Okay.
And I'm happy to entertain any other questions that y'all might have. Yes, ma'am.
I think I saw it in the pic, is it like an extension of a family room? Just enlarging one
It's
room?
an extension of the existing kitchen, which is
Oh,
like
it's a kitchen, okay.
yeah, it's
I just
like-
couldn't tell
It's
exactly.
like a little galley kitchen, honestly, right
Okay.
now. So, yeah,
Okay, thanks.
thank you.
Thank you.
I know that those of you that drove by, of course, you'd have to drive up the driveway to see it. I don't know that they would mind. I will tell you, it's when you go in and you'll see the Dillon's house, and then you go sort of fork left to get to their house. It is like where the walkway is, as shown on that survey. It is like I wouldn't say it's a tunnel because it wouldn't go over you, but it is lined on both sides. You can't see any of the houses except maybe the roof of Mr. Dillon's. Once you enter that courtyard up there and walk down it, the whole side is like a tunnel of rhododendron. I actually am curious to see how in the world you get buildings in there. You guys have talked about that very strategically.
We'd like to have these smallest of any.
Yes. So they are going to be building everything they can. With these springboards at any time.
And one other quick note, our family has owned that house since 1971. So my parents purchased it back in 1971. From the parents.
Any other questions of Ms. Garrett? Let me get Mr. Johnson to step back up for just a second. Dalton. Mr. Johnson, I take it you've walked over this property pretty thoroughly,
Yes, sir.
and you've become fairly familiar with the property and its location in relation to Main Street. All right. Is what the applicant is proposing to build, would it impair emergency vehicles such as fire trucks and ambulances?
No, sir.
And what the applicant is proposing to build, would it create a fire hazard?
No, sir.
And what the applicant is proposing to build, would it block or impede visibility on any street or highway?
No, sir.
What the applicant is proposing to build, would it be contrary to public health or safety in any way that you can see?
No, sir.
Any other questions, Mr. Johnson?
I've got one. The 2 phone calls you got, is that something we discussed?
It's hearsay, so we can't get into it.
Okay. I just was curious since we asked. and
Well,
had an answer.
I kind of like to know if anybody cares. Somebody cared enough to make the calls, but we can't get into what
Probably
they
saw the
said.
sign and called.
I'm sorry.
They probably saw the sign and called.
Could be, just to say what's up. But no, we can't get into what they said.
What would have been the standard answer on that? Somebody just called and said, there's a sign there, what does it mean? Whoever handled that call said there's a Board of Adjustment hearing on expansion.
Yeah, I mean, we can, we'll divulge that there's a variance here, or what's the nature of the sign and why it's there. Our signs are general nature for a public hearing. So we would explain what the hearing is for.
Any more questions? Ms. Garrett, you got any more questions of Mr. Johnson?
I do not, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Let's go ahead and get into our findings of fact. We're going to leave the evidentiary part of the hearing open to the very end because we never fails, we get into the conclusions of law and then we want to go back and get some more information. So the evidentiary hearing is going to remain open until the very end and it'll get closed with the conclusions of law. Anybody wants to take us through the findings of fact? Ms. Murphy,
What's that?
do you want to take us through the findings of fact? I'll share my notes with you.
You're so good at it, Evie.
Okay, all right, findings of fact. The applicant is Penn Branham and Erwin Morrison. The owner of the property in question is the Blowing Rock 1 and Blowing Rock 2. If I say anything that rings untrue, anybody stop me and correct me. The address of the property in question is 1884 Main Street, Blowing Rock, North Carolina. The Watauga County PIN number is 2807-94-7118-000. The property is zone R15. The applicant wants to do the following, which would violate zoning regulations and which would require a variance. Applicant wants to build an addition to the existing home, which would intrude into the western side setback requirement of 12 feet. The proposed addition would be that's the 4.1.
No, that's the current. 2.9 feet,
It's a 1.3.
or 1.3 with the eave. So that would be,
1.3 feet from the property line.
right, so 10.7 would be the amount into the setback.
So the violation of the 12-foot setback would be 10.7. Agreed? The Blowing Rock zoning code ordinance section, which is at issue here and stands in the applicant's way, is 16-12.4. And put into words, the ordinance requires a 12-foot setback from the side property line in zoning district R15. There are not other parties of standing to come into this case. The applicant did provide drawings or sketches or plans or pictures illustrating what the applicant wants to do. The town of Blowing Rock has provided and given all necessary legal notices of this case and this hearing. There was proper notice of the case and hearing given to all property owners with property abutting the parcel of land which is at issue here. And proper notice was given to any other persons entitled to receive notice.
E.B., while you're in there, why don't we put some part of this is in Caldwell County, and I think that deed reference is on here. It just makes it sound like more complicated. The back piece of this property is actually in another county.
I didn't catch that.
And you've got the number referenced here somewhere.
So the property is partially in Caldwell, but it is taxed in Watauga County.
It's taxed in Watauga, and the house is basically wholly located in Watauga, but that's another reason. We have to go to Caldwell if we're gonna build off the back of it. So, yeah.
I don't know if the house or anything we're talking about is in Caldwell County, but the plat is in Caldwell, the back piece.
You can see it on the GIS aerial.
It's on here somewhere.
Yeah.
Let's just say a portion of the property is in Caldwell County.
That's fair. At least we knew that when we sat here.
Okay. 13 property owners were given notice. And none of the 13 responded, is that right? Including Mr. Dillon.
That's correct.
And none responded. 2, was it 2 people that called you or 3?
2.
2 unnamed citizens called about the property. They did not testify. The applicant did receive a copy of the planning director's staff report, and I'm going to change that to zoning enforcement officer. Prior to the meeting, received that staff report. There was one other witness in the hearing besides the applicant and the zoning enforcement officer. And the name of that witness was Daniel Reed Dillon. His address
1882.
1882 Main Street, Rolling Rock. He is the next door neighbor to the property in question. And his property abuts, two T's and abuts, or one? I'll look it up.
One, I think.
His property abuts
I think it's two.
the applicant's property. Where the addition is going. He had no objections. Of any kind to the applicant's proposed addition. The existing house used to be a tea house.
Put that on record.
Unique features of this property include the fact that the property lot is very narrow. Measuring 49.89 feet at one end and 73.43 feet at the other end. The lot is much more narrow than others in the neighborhood. The narrowness of the lot makes any reasonable scaled construction very difficult to the point of impossible without a variance. Who has more facts for us?
I think we should put something in there about the existing property, the existing home already being in non-compliance, because I think that's quite a relevant fact.
Absolutely, yes. Yes.
Do we actually refer to Mr. Dillon's letter? We called him on the phone. Does it get read into this?
We can note that he provided a written letter showing that he had no problem.
And we called him on the phone to verify, swear him in.
I don't think we need to do that.
It's all part of the record.
Yeah, I think everybody's gonna assume we follow the rules. But you wanna say that, he provided a letter outlining his
Well, he's
position?
been remodeling his house over there. And I think, you know,
think the
he
letter
walked
got-
over there with these folks, and that's important, that he is comfortable with what's about to happen, so.
Yeah, I think it goes to the question of substantial justice. And under the substantial justice, I think that's the fourth factor. Let's mention that the next door neighbor whose property abuts right there where the construction's gonna take place has absolutely no objection. Let's save that for them. Any other facts anyone wants to throw in?
The non-compliance, you gonna put that down? I thought you wanted to do that. Okay.
Jerry distracted.
What's that?
You distracted me with the Caldwell County.
Well, you're adding to the complexity of this.
The existing,
I mean, it's all I'm showing in the documents, but
yeah, no, I think
just for someone in the future, I think
That's-
that's
that's-
a really relevant
it's an
point.
important thing.
Yeah.
The existing property and house were built many years ago. And are non-conforming. To the side setback requirement. $12 feet. That get it? All right. I want to do sort of a, before we get into the conclusions of law. Sort of an introduction or speech. This will not be part of the conclusions of law, but it'll just be, I think, helpful to us all and help us on other variance cases that come up. I want to talk about unnecessary hardship, which is a requirement that the applicant must show here. Unnecessary hardship is not defined in the state statute nor in the Blowing Rock Town ordinances dealing with variances. But the state statute and the Blowing Rock Town ordinance require the applicant to show he or she is suffering unnecessary hardship. The North Carolina Court of Appeals and Supreme Court also have not defined it or explained it. It's not defined by statute. It's not defined in common law. There is no definition that I can find or see for unnecessary hardship other than. So where do we turn to have a working definition or explanation of what the heck unnecessary hardship is? For that, we've ended up turning to the authority who trains the North Carolina legislature in municipal and land use law, and that is the UNC School of Government's professors. The most respected and the most active in the field are the fellows that wrote this book, the Quasi-Judicial Handbook, a guide for boards making development decisions. David Owens and Adam Lovelady. And David Owens also wrote with Professor Adam Brueggemann the textbook, A Survey of Experience with Zoning Variances. These are the people that go around the state and they lecture the county councils and the city councils on what zoning law is all about and help define and guide those representatives as well as the legislature members in Raleigh on zoning ordinances. A lawyer preparing a court case, he needs to establish a definition for something, looks first to the statute. If it's not there, he looks to the judge-made law from the Court of Appeals and the state Supreme Court. If it's not found there, he looks to learned authorities, such as these professors who teach the public officials about land use law. The UNC School of Government would say that all zoning is a hardship. It limits property owners' right to do anything they please with their property, but it's allowed as a public good. All the states provide for some legal bending of the zoning laws by way of variances. There are properties which could not be used for anything at all if the zoning laws were rigidly applied. That would be considered a taking by the government. In North Carolina, a variance applicant has to show a number of things, and the first is that he suffers from unnecessary hardship if the zoning rules were rigidly applied to his property. The School of Government would say it is fair for all the property owners in their neighborhood to suffer the same degree of hardship due to the zoning rules, but they would say it's unfair and excessive for the zoning rules to impact a property owner more than the other properties in his neighborhood due to the unique characteristics of his property. That's excessive. The adjective unnecessary, it's a very poor choice. Think of it as excessive hardship, unfair hardship. The hardship, and thus unnecessary hardship, is the problem with the property. The steep grade or the stream through the middle of the property that gives the owner excessive hardship. If all the properties have the same drawback and limitations, the law would consider that's fair. No one should be given a variance. Everyone suffers equally. But if one of the properties or a small number of the properties in the neighborhood suffer from a problem, a unique problem, things like a steep slope or an odd shape or a stream through the middle of the property, that will make compliance with the zoning rule virtually impossible. That's unfair to that property owner. A variance for that property owner could be the remedy, a bending of the rules. The Blowing Rock ordinances say in section 16-5.2.1, paragraph C, that the hardship should be unique or nearly so, rather than one shared by all the surrounding properties. All right, that's my speech. Let's get into conclusions of law. And we're going to go through the four factors. In the first factor,
Do we need to vote to adopt the facts first?
let's keep it open, because if we want to ask these folks something about a fact, and we always end up when we get into the conclusions of law. So let's just, I think we're allowed, I'm positive we're allowed to keep it open right to the bitter end and then close everything at one time. Based upon the evidence presented and the facts shown above, the Board of Adjustment, and I'm gonna phrase this in finding, so that I can put this into a motion. Based upon the evidence presented and the facts shown above, the Board of Adjustment finds substantial, material, and competent evidence exists to conclude that in this case, unnecessary hardship would result from strict application of the regulation. So let me put that into the form of a motion. I move to find, let me stop. Any discussion on that first factor? Excuse me, I'm getting ahead of everybody. I make a motion that based upon the evidence presented and the facts shown above, the Board of Adjustment finds substantial, material, and competent evidence exists to conclude that in this case, unnecessary hardship would result from the strict application of the regulation, and that hardship comes from the very narrowness of the lot in question. I make a motion, we find that they've met their burden on the first factor. Is there a second? Mr. Walker beat you to it. Mr. Walker seconds. All those finding that the applicant has met the requirements to satisfy the first factor about unnecessary hardship, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, and it's unanimous. I'll move to the second factor. Based upon the evidence presented and the facts shown above, the Board of Adjustment finds substantial material and competent evidence exists to conclude that in this case, the hardship results from conditions that are peculiar to the property. Any discussion on that? On the second factor. So I'm going to make a motion that based upon the evidence presented and the facts shown above, the Board of Adjustment finds substantial material and competent evidence exists to conclude that in this case, the hardship results from conditions that are peculiar to the property, and those peculiar conditions are the narrowness of the lot in question.
Second thought.
Well, I'm sorry. What?
If you're finished, I'll second that.
Yeah, yes. I make a motion to find that they've met the requirements of the second factor. Is there a second? Mr. Walker has once again been the second. All those in favor of finding that the applicant has met the requirements of the second factor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, it's unanimous. We'll go to the third factor. And based upon evidence presented and the facts shown above, the Board of Adjustment finds substantial material competent evidence exists to conclude that in this case, the hardship did not result from actions taken by the applicant or property owner. And this is one of those times when I'm glad we kept the evidentiary hearing open, because I forgot to ask Ms. Morrison if she had anything to do, if she or Ms. Brannon had anything to do with the subdivision of this lot and the creation of its boundaries and dimensions.
No, sir.
Fair to say, this lot was formed many years ago.
Over 100 years ago.
The applicants had nothing whatsoever with the subdivision and creation of the lot. And its narrowness. I hope narrowness is a word.
Lack of width.
Okay, so I do make a motion that based upon the evidence presented and the facts shown above, the Board of Adjustment finds substantial material and competent evidence exists to conclude that in this case, the hardship did not result from actions taken by the applicant or property owner. The applicants had nothing whatsoever to do with the subdivision and creation of the lot and its narrowness. I make that motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Murphy seconds. All those in favor of finding that the applicant has met their burden for the third factor, say aye. Aye. It's unanimous. We'll move to the fourth factor. Based upon the evidence presented and the facts shown above, the Board of Adjustment finds substantial material and competent evidence exists to conclude that in this case, The requested variance is consistent with the spirit, purpose, and intent of the regulation, such that public safety is secured and substantial justice is achieved. And I'm gonna stop there on this one. So I make a motion. I make that a motion based upon the evidence presented, the facts shown above, the Board of Adjustment finds substantial material and competent evidence exists to conclude that in this case, the requested variance is consistent with the spirit, purpose, and intent of the regulation, such that public safety is secured and substantial justice is achieved. Do we have a second?
Second.
And I think Mr. Schiller beat you to it that time, Mr. Walker. Seconded by Mr. Schiller. All those in favor of finding that the applicants have met their burden on the fourth factor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, it's unanimous. The Board of Adjustment does grant the applicant a variance. And all members that agree that in fact, pursuant to this hearing, we should grant the applicant a variance, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, it's unanimous. There are not additional conditions ordered by the board that are mandatory for the applicant to follow if the applicant is to receive this variance. Would all members agree there are no additional conditions or requirements for the applicant?
Yep.
Right, so. All right, this decision is going to be effective upon filing with the clerk. And the Board of Adjustment did adopt the above conclusions of law by a vote of, let me put that into a motion. I make a motion that the Board of Adjustment does adopt the conclusions of law as we just went through them. Is there a second on that motion? Mr. Schiller seconds. All those in favor of adopting the conclusion? First of all, let's close the evidentiary hearing. All those in favor of closing the evidentiary hearing, say aye. Aye. Aye, that's unanimous. And I don't think we need to close the conclusion of law hearing. So I move that we adopt the conditions of law as we just stated them. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Aye, it's unanimous. So, Penn Brandon and Owen Morrison, Blowing Rock 1 and Blowing Rock 2 have their variance.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Quite well. Any other business for the board?
Maybe that was entered as additional evidence.
Ms. Garrett, you want? Then I move that we close this meeting.
Sure don't have much.
That might be a record short meeting.
It's pretty short.
Yeah.
Do we have a second? Mr. Schiller seconds it. All those in favor of closing this meeting of the Blowing Rock Board of Adjustment say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That's it, we're done.